Well, I have been waiting for this for a long time. I always wanted to check out Vice City stories. It always seemed fascinating to me. It's a prequel of a character that is barely in Vice City and heavily expands on him, making him the main character. He's the brother of someone you will know as a traitor, and you could see how some people rose to power in Vice City before Tommy Vercetti arrived. And the gameplay seemed really interesting. Taking over gang businesses and upgrading them, becoming more and more powerful and wealthy, and building an empire is something that I really love in open world crime games. I did also love the Scarface game, which was tons of fun. As my TV broke down recently and I switched to my smaller replacement TV, I checked it out. After all, I was playing it on the original PS2, to which the game was ported from the PSP. And I mean, well, it looks really rough. I can play older games, but usually can play them on PC and in an acceptable resolution. But Vice City Stories unfortunately never came to PC, and if I wanted to experience it, I had to play it on PS2, unless I would find a probably broken emulated version. But I like to play games in the intended version if possible, and as I could find the game for relatively cheap, I checked it out on the PS2. As a heads up, the game looked pretty dark on my TV at times, which is unfortunate, but I don't have a CRT TV, so that's what I had to deal with. But enough of that. Let's dive into the story. Vic Vance is in a rough spot, but ready to serve his country, and he joins the army, trying to make some money and send it to his family, including his sick brother. But once he comes to Vice City and to the army base, he sees that things will be very different from what he was expecting. His superior, General Martinez, is a slimebag and offers him some less legal opportunities to make some money on the side. But after a few questionable jobs and a few $100, he is framed for bringing prostitutes into the base, which was for Martinez, but fortunately for Vic, he met some other criminals like Phil Cassidy, and from here on his criminal career starts really out. Eventually he even starts his own gang, which is shockingly easy, but well, they are in America after all, and everyone seems to really love crime and making some money in an illegal way. And soon he starts taking over illegal businesses in Vice City and builds his own empire, which is not that easy as his brother Lance soon arrives as well, and Lance, well, he is just the worst. He not only brings trouble with him, lending money from dangerous people, starting gang wars and just being reckless and selfish, having Vic often having to help him only for Lance to fuck off as soon as he can. The story overall is a decent GTA story of that era, with some lowbrow comedy and satire added into the mix, with an interesting crime story and many references to pop culture. The soundtrack is mostly quite amazing and has many bangers playing over and over again. The graphics are of course prehistoric at this point, and it's really a shame that this was never ported to PC, remastered or even remade. Even though seeing how the definitive edition turned out, I'm not sure if that would have worked out. The general gameplay is in theory good, but the execution is quite clunky. Shooting is similar to GTA San Andreas, in which you have auto-aim, which usually locks onto the closest target in your direction, which mostly works, but can be frustrating other times, when you are in a gunfight and suddenly you are not shooting the gangster in front of you, but some poor pedestrian or a cop nearby. There are several weapons you can carry, and as you progress and upgrade your empire, you earn enough to buy some serious artillery. Fighting, moving and driving are overall clunky though. The car's handling is terrible, and other vehicles like the chopper or the hovercraft are awful. But for what the game had to offer, at the time it's pretty cool. There are a few bugs though. I had a crash after an annoying mission before I could save, and the gang heat is either completely unpredictable or outright broken. Which is a shame, as I really like the mechanic and the idea how it is handled. You see, when you are not in a mission or on one of your businesses is attacked, you can drive over to another gang business and attack the car outside. Once it explodes, you start a gang war in which you have to kill all the enemy gang members in and around the business and destroy certain objects. Once that's done, the business is free to buy and you can select the business and how big it should be. The business also works as a safe house in which you can save, and you can also change the business and size if you want later. You can also talk to the gang member inside and start completing missions to upgrade the business and get a bigger daily income. Every day at 4 PM, it's payday and you get your share. But once you attack gangs, they get angry and start attacking you and your businesses. Businesses that have been attacked and damaged need to be repaired. This is also happening to other gangs, not just you, and you can't take over damaged businesses and have to wait until they are repaired. It's a bit odd though. The last business for the bikers, for example, can only be taken over during a mission and can't be attacked and taken over until then. And the last business overall, which was also the last business of the sharks, was under constant attack, and I had to kill some bikers or whatever gang was attacking them first until I was able to take it over. Also, as a side note, the bikes that you need to destroy in front of the biker gang businesses are taking a lot of damage. I mean, I was blowing up cars next to them and they still were standing. It's just insane. The story missions themselves are mostly okay, even though a bit uneven as always. There are fun missions in which you just shoot gangsters, and then there are missions in which you have to transport some explosive moonshine in a burning storage unit, while a timer runs out, which is stupid. There are also missions in which you have to drive some vehicles to certain locations, often after a shootout, and those cars can be extremely fragile. Having a military truck that quickly explodes after a few shots is odd, especially after you had earlier a mission in which you were able to drive through the town being shot at with the same kind of truck full of weapons. And it felt like the end of Mad Max 2, but it could take a lot of damage there. While the story and missions can be uneven, I have to say I did like Vic Vance over the course of the game as a character. To be honest, him, CJ and Lewis are probably the most positive characters in the GTA games. Don't get me wrong, I like Claude, Tommy and Nico as well, but Claude is basically a walking joke who never talks and gets pulled into things because he doesn't say a word, it seems a lot of times. Tommy is already a mass murderer at the start of Vice City, and Nico is basically a war criminal haunted by his deeds. Vic though, well, he's just a guy trying to get through and help his family that is basically abusing him, with his loser brother Vance who is causing all the trouble and almost gets him killed a couple of times and even does eventually get him killed. I guess spoiler for the first minute of the more famous Vice City. He gets ripped off by his mother who steals his drugs and money. He is treated like shit by most people around him and has to make things right for everyone around him at the same time. It's kind of tragic when you think of his eventual fate, especially as he several times tries to get out of crime or at least don't get deeper into it. But there are also a bunch of fun ideas. We have Phil Collins live in Vice City and protect him from some mobsters. We even hear him swear at one point, pretty gnarly and awkwardly, which I definitely didn't expect. While there were some uneven missions, I wasn't as frustrated as I expected, and for me personally the antenna mission, which I heard about in other reviews, wasn't even that bad, I would say. I guess the most annoying thing for me was that it looks terrible, especially on my TV when the game takes place at night. Every night mission or missions inside that are not well lit, well, they are twice or thrice as difficult. I did like the penultimate mission and the one with the moonshine probably the least out of all the missions. But I mean, that's just playing it on the wrong hardware, I guess. Meaning my TV that is old but not old enough for GTA's Vice City stories, I guess. But let's get back to the question that I was wondering about all this time. Did it hold up? Well, probably most people would say no, but for me it was a fun game and enjoyable overall. I liked it, and even with its flaws and old age, it entertained me. And I will give Vice City Stories an 8 out of 10.